The box arrived on a Tuesday, same as all the others, cardboard, taped badly at one corner, a strip of masking tape across the top that read "Donate" in black marker. Dottie Crane set it on the sorting table behind the circulation desk and forgot about it for 2 days. When she finally cut it open, she found the usual things. A set of Reader's Digest condensed novels from the 80s, a field guide to North American birds, its spine cracked, 3 paperback romances with the covers soft from reading, and at the bottom, under everything else, a small journal with a green cloth cover and a brass clasp that had not been locked. Dottie lifted it. It was the kind of journal sold at the drugstore for $4, the kind a person buys meaning to write in every day and rarely does. This one was different. It had been written in carefully in a woman's even hand, the entries dated, the ink dark blue. She turned to the first page. She recognized the name on the inside cover. Ellen Merritt, Cal's wife, dead 3 years this October. Dottie set the journal on the desk and stood with her hand flat on the cover for a long moment. She had known Ellen. Everyone in Millhaven had known Ellen, the woman who brought muffins to the library's winter book drive, who helped with the summer reading board, who had a laugh you could hear from the parking lot. Her husband was the quiet one. Cal Merritt, who ran a woodworking shop on Sycamore Lane and built things people kept for the rest of their lives, and who had spoken, at Ellen's funeral, exactly 4 sentences before he sat back down and did not speak again. She set the journal aside. She would call him. She did not have to. The next morning, a girl came through the door before Dottie had even turned on the reference section lights. 12 years old, dark-haired, wearing a canvas jacket 2 sizes too big, her father's, Dottie guessed. Ada Merritt moved through the library the way she always did, quietly and with purpose, as if she had come with a list and intended to finish it. She went to the front desk and looked up. "Someone donated a box," Ada said. "I think there was a journal in it, green cover." Dottie studied her for a moment. The girl's face was calm, composed in a way that 12-year-olds rarely were. "I have it," Dottie said. "Do you want to sit down?" Ada sat at the long reading table by the window, the one that looked out over the library's small garden. Dottie set the journal in front of her and left her alone, though she did not go far. She shelved things nearby. She watched. The girl opened the clasp. She turned to the first entry and read. She turned pages slowly, steadily, with both hands flat on the table. She did not wipe her eyes did not fill. She only read, with the same stillness her father had at the funeral, as if she had decided that stillness was the right way to hold something heavy. Dottie drifted closer. She could not help it. Ada had stopped on a page near the middle of the journal. She was not reading anymore. She was looking at something, and Dottie, reshelving a large print Steinbeck 2 tables over, could see it too. The page was a list. The heading in Ellen's hand read, "Things I Want to Do." Beneath it 41 items. Some were small. Plant the window box with lavender. Take Ada to see the fireflies at the lake in June. Frame the photograph from Grandma Holt's birthday, the one where we are all laughing. Some were larger. Donate enough books to fill a reading corner for the children's section at the library. Build a bench for the garden behind the church, something that will last. Beside each item on the list, in pencil, a different hand, smaller, more deliberate, was a small checkmark. And a date. Dottie set the Steinbeck down. Ada turned the page to the next entry. She turned another. She went back to the list. She pressed her finger to one of the pencil marks and held it there, and then she looked up at the window, not at Dottie, not at anything in the room. She looked out at the garden. There was a wooden bench there. Dottie had assumed the town had bought it. Ada turned to the back of the journal where the last entry stopped, 2 months before Ellen died. Then she turned past the last entry, and there were 3 more pages, not in Ellen's hand, in that smaller, more deliberate pencil. Dottie was close enough to read the heading at the top of the first of those pages. October 14, starting the list, don't know how long it will take. Below it, the first 10 items, renumbered, with the dates they were completed. Ada read all 3 pages. Then she closed the journal. She set both hands flat on the cover, the same way Dottie had done the morning before, and she sat. "He didn't tell me," Ada said. She was not talking to Dottie. She was not quite talking to herself. She was simply saying it, the way you say something when you need to hear it out loud to understand it. "He's been doing this for 3 years and he didn't tell me any of it." Dottie came and sat across from her. She had worked in this library for 19 years, and she had learned that there were moments when the kindest thing was simply to be present. "The bench in the garden," Ada said. "I asked him last spring who made it. He said the town got it." "I can see why he said that," Dottie said carefully. Ada looked at her. "Why didn't he tell me?" Dottie thought about Cal Merritt, about the 4 sentences at the funeral, about the way he dropped Ada's library books off at the desk each week without coming in, leaving them in a canvas bag with her library card tucked in the front pocket so she wouldn't have to search. About the window box at the library's front entrance, which had appeared one morning last spring full of lavender that someone had planted overnight, and which everyone had admired and no one had claimed. "I think," Dottie said, "that he was keeping a promise, and I think some people keep promises very quietly." Ada sat with that. Then she stood, tucked the journal under her arm, and pulled her father's jacket tighter. "Can I take it?" "It's yours," Dottie said. "It always was." The girl walked out. Dottie went to the window and watched her cross the parking lot and turn left on Sycamore, toward the woodworking shop, without hurrying. Cal Merritt was sanding a cabinet door when his daughter came through the shop's side entrance. He heard the door and looked up, and when he saw her face, not upset, not angry, just carrying something he recognized, the same weight he had been carrying for 3 years, he set the sandpaper down and waited. Ada crossed the shop floor and set the green journal on the workbench between them. The shop smelled the way it always smelled: sawdust, linseed oil, the faint bite of the space heater in the corner. A half-built cabinet frame stood against the far wall. Clamps and chisels hung from their hooks in the order he had put them. The way he kept everything, patient, organized, nothing wasted. He looked at the journal, he looked at her, he said nothing. "I counted," she said. 41 things, you've done 38. His hands were still on the workbench. He had sawdust on his forearms and a pencil behind his ear, the same kind of pencil that had made those small, careful marks beside each of her mother's wishes. He did not look surprised. He did not look relieved. He looked the way he always looked, present, as if he had known this moment was coming and had been ready to meet it the same way he met everything else. "The reading corner," Ada said. "That's on the list. You haven't done that one yet." "I was waiting," he said, "until I could do it right." She nodded slowly. She turned one page of the journal open on the workbench, though she did not look at it. She already knew what was there. "The lavender," she said, "at the front of the library, that was you." He said nothing, which was the same as yes. "And the bench behind the church." He nodded once. "She wanted you to read something to me," Ada said. Her voice stayed level. "You did that already too." 2 years ago," he said. "One night after dinner. I told you I had something to say and then I just read it to you straight through." She looked at him. "I remember. I didn't know where it was from." "I know you didn't." He paused. "I wasn't ready to explain it yet." She looked at him for a long moment. 12 years old in his canvas jacket, with her mother's journal and 3 years of quiet truth between them. "I want to help with the reading corner," she said. Cal's throat moved. He reached across the workbench and put his hand over hers, once, briefly, the way he did when she was small and had woken from a bad dream and needed to know without words that he was there. "Okay," he said. That was all. It was enough. The reading corner at Millhaven Public Library opened on a Saturday in April, 6 months later. It filled the back wall of the children's section, a curved bank of shelves, built from white oak, fitted with low seats along the base where children could pull a book and sit without getting up. The shelves were full. 412 books, every one of them donated. Cal and Ada had spent the winter collecting them, from neighbors, from the school, from people who heard about the corner in the way small towns carry news. Not by announcement, but by word passed quietly from hand to hand. A brass plate on the center shelf read, "The Ellen Merritt Reading Corner, for every child who needs a place to land." Cal had built the shelves in his shop over the winter, working evenings after Ada finished homework. Ada had sanded them the right way, threw the grits in order, the way he'd taught her, and when she asked why it mattered, he said, "Because the thing you build should outlast you, and that means you don't cut corners on what's underneath." She hadn't argued. She picked up the next sheet and kept going. They worked those evenings in comfortable quiet. She had her mother's warmth and her father's steadiness, and she knew, the way children know things they have never been told directly, that this project was something they needed to finish together. The town came. Not in the polite, dutiful way people come to ribbon cuttings, but in the genuine way, neighbors who had known Ellen, teachers from Ada's school, the woman from the church garden committee who had always wondered about that bench, a dozen families whose children had already pulled books from the new shelves in the 3 days since Dottie had opened the corner early, because she could not see a reason to wait. Dottie Crane stood near the shelves and watched Cal shake hands and nod and accept the thanks of people who had not known until that week what he had been quietly doing for 3 years. He was not comfortable with it. That was plain. He stood the way he always stood in public, still, grounded, taking up only the space he needed, and he received it the way he received everything, without performance, without deflection, and without a word of self-credit. When people said it was a beautiful thing he had done, he thanked them and then said Ellen would have liked it, and then he moved on. Ada stood beside him. She had her mother's laugh, the one you could hear from the parking lot, and it rang out twice while the room was full, and both times Dottie saw Cal turn to look at her with an expression that was not quite a smile, and not quite grief, but something that lived between them. The face of a man who had carried something heavy for a long time and was beginning, carefully, to set it down. Dottie had put the green journal in a small display case on the center shelf, beneath the brass plate. Ada had asked her to. It sat open to the list, all 41 items, all 41 pencil checks, the last 3 completed after the reading corner was finished. The 41st item in Ellen's hand was simple. "Tell Cal he is the best thing that ever happened to me." Beside it in pencil in Cal's hand, a date from 2 years ago, and 4 words. "Read this to Ada." Dottie had noticed it that morning, when she unlocked the case to make sure the journal lay flat. She stood in the empty library before anyone arrived and read those 4 words, and she understood then what she had witnessed from the beginning, not a story about grief, not about loss, but about a man who had looked at the weight in front of him and chosen, every single day, to carry it the right way. He had not done it for credit. He had not done it so that his daughter would find out, or so that the town would come, or so that anyone would know his name. He had done it because he told her he would in a hospital room in October, when it was just the 2 of them and the machines going quiet. And then he had come home, and he had made breakfast for his daughter, and he had opened the journal to the first page, and he had started. The room filled with the sounds of the town, children pulling books from the new shelves, the scrape of the low seats on the floor, Ada's laugh rising again from somewhere near the window. Dottie watched Cal's face when he heard it. He closed his eyes for just a moment. Then he opened them, and he was still there, steady and present, the way he had been every morning for 3 years. Some men announce themselves. Some men simply show up, day after day, and do the work and love what they love and never ask to be seen. Millhaven saw him now, and the room was full of what that looked like.